Thank you so much for joining us, guys, into the late hours of the night. Our nightcap match number 3 here in this Division 1. Salty Cat versus BJandCo. Take this
just right here, let's take this opportunity. Just look at those names. By those names only, who would you give it to? Who's going to win it?
Just by the names, not by the portraits, not by anything else.
Nope, just the names.
I missed it. Too bad.
I don't know. I like BJ and company, but I also like Salty Cat. I don't know. Can't do it.
Now, let's see. Thank you very much for the follow, man. I appreciate it. All right. So, Braxis Holdout. It's a map where you definitely want to prioritize wave clear. Very, very important to be able to clean up those Zerg rushes when they get a little out of control coming at your structures.
Would you go with like a 4-man lane and then a solo lane, or would you kind of split it up a little bit evenly? How would you play that?
You traditionally it's a solo lane top with a 4-man bottom. So you want to pick somebody that's got a good solo lane. This is pretty much the only map in the game that Rexar is prioritized for that reason, because he's a great solo laner to be able to put Misha on that point, but still be able to soak and clear the top lane. Leoric's a pretty popular pick because of his self-sustain with Drain Life. Be able to keep him up in that situation up there.
I'm not getting a ban here on the side of the Salty. Oh, there she is.
Yep, they're going to wait till the last second to pop it in. It is going to be Zarya. That's a pretty good ban. Zarya is good on this map. She does have the opportunity to get some good solid point denial with that expulsion zone on such a low cooldown. Can really help you capture these beacons here on Braxis Holdout. And Ragnaros, a pretty standard second ban in the meta right now. Nobody wants to mess with that Sulfurious Plague.
No, it doesn't. And it's pretty much an instant ban. I don't even know why they're hovering over that. You know you're going to do it. Just click that button. You know you want to.
Yeah. Peer pressure!
Yeah, right. Oh, my goodness. So after we get this ban here, Ragnaros, who would be our first pick, you think?
Probably Artanis, if I was just spitballing, Artanis is really, really strong. Alright, so yeah, you guys can go to info here to check what your JDollars are, or by typing it, but it is case sensitive with that JDollars thing. Sorry. Never easy.
I got that 90. Do you see a Dahaka pickup? Now I get to say Dahaka the way I want to say it. I'm very excited about that. Nice global presence. Really dictate and single out a character, an enemy character on the other team. Real nice job there, and of course with the global presence, really good, solid first pickup. I would suspect here going with the red team with BJ and company that we're probably going to see an Artanis kind of response, but we'll see.
Yeah, I really like Dahaka on this map. There are a lot of really well-placed vents for him to be able to brush stock to be able to pick up these points. There's nothing more frustrating than killing the entire enemy team where Dahaka was the first death, and then you finally capture both of the beacon points, and then Dahaka's back up, and he just brush stocks in and takes the point that you're not on, and now you gotta rotate all over the place again.
That is annoying. A few choice words have left my mouth when that has happened.
Yeah.
About that. Oh my, we're going to see a Malfurion and a Gul'dan, even with a nice little color scheme, little matching going on there. Very nice, very nice.
Absolutely. And Gul'dan, a very, very strong pick on this map. And we're seeing that pattern start to develop once again, Plague. This is BJandCo's map pick. So they get the second and third picks, and they're very, very map strong, which is going to be Malfurion, who at that level 1 has the opportunity to take Moonburn to get that extra wave clear. Gul'dan, who's probably one of the best heroes in the game at cleaning up an enemy Zerg wave that's heading in towards your structures. He can blow those things up.
Yeah, absolutely. He can with those his AoE dots that he puts out. It just feeds right into the lane of Zergs.
And I mean, I'll give credit to Salty Cat. Dahaka's a great pick here. I think it's probably one of the strongest that they could have chosen. So they're responding well to BJandCo's map pick. But and they are going to go with Artanis and Ariel. So maybe a little bit of denial there. Well, at least a denial on the opportunity to apply that healer chokehold. They wanted to make sure to get it in before this next ban phase where BJandCo already has Malfurion. They don't want to get banned out on their healer choices.
Right, they did. And they might have taken Malfurion, thinking that Ariel does team well with Gul'dan, but like you said, with Malfurion is really top lane cleaner, excuse me, of all the healers there. I mean, hovering over Cho'Gall. Interesting. I don't know if I've ever seen Cho'Gall banned.
Yeah, it's probably a pretty smart ban here. Ariel is going to need to have somebody to feed her a lot of hope, and Cho'Gall is one of the best in the game. I don't see Cho'Gall with Dahaka and Artanis personally, but you know, it's kind of random. It's the beginning of the season. You never know what kind of cheese a team's going to pull out, so they are going to go with the more standard denial. Vala, she's probably the strongest one other than Cho'Gall to feed Ariel a whole lot of hope. And I don't know, I might be a little bit afraid of the Cho'Gall if we see a Tychus ban here, but maybe not. Salty Cat also has double tanks, so Tychus might be the ban anyway.
So how do you think BJ and company are going to build the rest of their team? They already have the healer. They already got a top DPS or AoE DPS, or for that matter. How else would you build this?
First of all, they're going to need a couple of frontliners. Ariel, on the other side, is somebody that can stop big wombo combo potential, especially onto one person if they're getting CC'd with that Aegis. So you don't want to have to put all your eggs in one basket. They've already started to build a good AoE comp. I would continue that. Something like a Thrall that can throw out the Chain Lightnings and the Earthquake that doesn't have to focus all on one person. They still have the opportunity to pick up a good solid tank, though they don't have to pick it here, but if they want to try and hide what they're doing, they have the opportunity to pick up a tank and a frontliner here and then kind of decide how they want to respond with that last pick. So yeah, I would probably go with a Thrall and then either a Diablo or they could also pick up Johanna. Johanna's pretty good at capturing these points and being able to stay on them for days.
That's true. That would be a very solid pickup in the Monday night matches we had. We had a Johanna that did exactly that. We do see Salty Cat ban out ETC, leaving BJ and company to pick their next two heroes. We'll see how they're going to do it. We are going to actually see a Johanna pick up here as a tank. We are going to see a Tychus come out.
Yeah, that was the other one on the table, really, with the double front line, the double tank that Salty Cat has already picked up, and they are going to choose Rexxar. So Rexxar is going to be their solo laner. That's one thing we haven't really talked about here, Plague, is who are the solo laners. Dahaka is a great solo laner over on the side of Salty Cat. BJandCo deciding to pick that up now. Rexxar. So we're going to see Rexxar versus Dahaka in that top lane.
Top lane, yep, exactly. And everybody else going down the bot lane to try to do whatever they can down there to force a team fight or catch somebody out of position. And then just be careful with that global presence of Dahaka being able to globally come down with Bush Stock at any given point. You just got to be careful about your positioning if you're on the side of BJ and company.
Yeah, so we got two more picks coming up here for Salty Cat. Definitely need some backline damage. You know, you got to pick somebody that's going to be able to feed into that hope pool. So they have.
Halstead is still available along with that, and we do see a Sylvanas and a Jaina.
So that's a very interesting pickup. You know, we hadn't talked about Sylvanas. She is pretty good at pushing with these waves, but one thing that a lot of people don't talk about is Sylvanas' ability to wave clear with that Shadow Dagger. It spreads indefinitely. It spreads to any enemy fort or structure, minion, monster, hero, anything. So that Shadow Dagger will weave its way through an enemy Zerg push and just knock a little bit of health with that poison damage off of everything. So it is solid.
The 16 talent where you get the reduced armor when using the dagger, with someone with Jaina or Tannis coming in, I mean, that's just going to be able to allow them to just shred anybody at will.
Yep.
One of my favorites. I really do like her.
Yeah, the interesting thing, though, is, again, the argument of who's feeding Ariel. Jaina can feed Ariel a lot of hope really fast with that burst damage, but it's not constant. And so they are going to go with Johanna to round out that bottom lane, that bottom four. It's going to be Malfurion, Gul'dan, Tychus, Johanna versus Artanis, Ariel, Jaina, and Sylvanas in those bottom lanes. Well, that should be interesting.
So who are you thinking here? Who do we got here? Your initial thoughts, who would you say has, based off the draft, has won this? I don't know, personally, me. I really like that Rexar picks up, and I like that Gul'dan.
Yeah.
And looking at the, my goodness, I don't know. I would like to give it to BJ Company, but that global presence of Dahaka is great. However, I think they could have done a better job of somebody that was going to feed Ariel, other than Jaina. I feel there could have been some other people available that they could have got instead of Jaina. But I don't know. It's pretty evenly.
Yeah, I would probably still put the bet over to BJandCo if I was jumping in on the betting train here. Which, by the way, let me go ahead and get that started for you guys. You guys can go ahead and place your bets.
I'll do it myself. There we go. So I'm going to say...
It's exclamation point bet, and then space, and then you can put it either blue team if you want to vote for Salty Cat, or red team if you want to go to BJandCo. And then you're just going to put in the amount.
Oh.
So you can see Dorsey's done it there. Perfect example. You got to put bet red, but then you got to put your amount. There you go. And maybe.
No, you don't get anything that says that you got it? Okay. Whoever was going to do it now.
Yep.
They didn't do it for me.
Oh, did I do A and B? No, it should be blue or red. Yeah, there we go. There we go. It was a little bit behind, but I figured it out. It's not A and B. It's definitely blue and red.
There we go.
Oh, I guess it takes a secondary command for A or B. Oh well, either way.
Doesn't matter. It's all good.
Yeah, you got the bets rolling in. All right. So, to even out the pool a little bit, I'm going to throw in 200 into the win pool. I'm not actually betting. I'm just trying to make sure that if red wins, that it's kind of a fair exchange for everybody. Splitting up all the cash, all the J dollars that are raining down. There we go. Oh wait, see, I did it wrong.
Yep. All right, as we're getting in here,
Facility powering up.
in the blue team on the side of Salty Cat, we have P-Flame on Jaina, and we have Sormur on Artanis, Cloud on Sylvanas, Calamity Cat on Ariel, and Hooks on Dahaka.
It's like you said, partner, BJandCo got the easy name, so we're going to go ahead and go over to Grudo King on Tychus, Lightfoot Savvy on Johanna, Russian on Malfurion, Zentius on Gul'dan, and Rob Dog 159 on that Rexar.
There we go.
BJandCo.
We just saw it. BJandCo. We are actually going to see a 5-man knuckle shuffle here on the bottom lane here from Salty Cat, as all 5 are coming down in bot lane. We are going to see the Rexar split up into top lane, and so we have a potentially 5-on-4 little poke event here going on before we get started.
Yeah, right away they're going in deep with this Sylvanas 5-man, trying to get some damage out, and they do get a nice chunk of damage out onto that bottom turret.
Right here. And with having all 5 men in bot lane, they are giving up a little bit of soak in the top lane as Rexar continues to soak that, and we'll get a little bit of a push on that top wall.
Yeah, we do see the tunnel in there from Dahaka to be able to get up to that top lane real quickly and easily. I guess maybe it was Bet B.
Oh, I thought he had that. I thought Soramaru had that switch and bait there going on there on Tychus there, but he just missed it.
Yeah, right now we got Crooks getting in a little bit of trouble here. Rob Dog doing a nice job of winning this back and forth in the top lane, but the real battle is going to be over the bottom. It's a question of whether or not these guys can push each other out, get any kind of advantage, any kind of kill advantage, really. Both teams right now looking for... Oh, and Artanis looking for that swap. Just barely missed it there on Gul'dan. Would have been a pretty easy kill there. As soon as you get the swap in with this team, though, between Jaina and Sylvanas, you can put out quite a lot of damage to be able to follow it up. And again, that swap, so close. As the beacons do activate, it does look like it's going to go over to the advantage of Salty Cat. Here, let me actually change the overlay for you guys. My apologies on that.
And bottom lane, we still have bottom lane beacon.
There's the swap they've been looking for. Yes. Johanna goes down as well, getting in there a little bit too deep, trying to get that fixed up. However, Cloud choosing to take the advantage full on here, shutting down this front tower. They've already got the front wall down here, Plague.
They did, and I was thinking immediately before this beacon came up that Salty Cat in bottom lane here could be a little bit more aggressive with that Sylvanas, being able to shut down waves and shut down towers. But you know, as soon as they got that first kill, they really went in there and are really pushing this bottom tower down, which is good to see because you have a lot of push potential when it comes to a Sylvanas and Jaina DPS, and I hope they use that a little bit more aggressively.
Yeah, we do see the 4-man is back up here for BJandCo, however. They're going to be pushing in to try and capture this as Salty Cat does capture that top beacon. Once again, they do get Artanis, and they are going to be able to stop that progression of that percentage at 70 here, Plague. However, Salty Cat has already earned themselves one of those big ultralisks
yes,
up at that big pen. So even if they end up losing this in the long run, they've already earned themselves a pretty nice sizable wave for themselves. Yeah,
they did here. A little bit of pressure. Sylvanas trying to get some of the camps working for him as we see the rotation back on the bottom beacon here, pushing out BJ and company of Johanna and Tychus. Tychus getting Grotto King getting really low. Oh.
And we see that machine gun build coming out here from P-Flame. The Winter's Reach to get the extra length, and Frost Shards, which will now get the double pierce at level 7. Also has the opportunity to get the cooldown reduction on the hits if that frostbolt hits on a chilled target. Gets a dramatic cooldown reduction, so you can really start throwing out those frostbolts. Meanwhile, Dahaka getting taken down in that top lane as both teams just being content to just push out here, but that's definitely a winning exchange for Sylvanas and company here with Salty Cat.
They are. They're getting. They got the tower already down, and then we do see the rotation down here to top lane with 4 members of Salty Cat trying to get some kind of pressure onto this top beacon.
And we do see Crooks trying to get a little bit of wave clear in here. Not a whole lot that Rexar can do to try and stop this, but the just for a split second there, owning both of those beacons, squeaking out another 2% here is Salty Cat. But the rotations are everything in this match, Plague. It's all about when you rotate, how you rotate, and how many you put there, whether or not you can get ganks with that. And we see Russian capturing here. Nice block there with that root, and they'll just exchange once again.
Right, we do see another 2-point increase on the side of Salty Cat, getting ever so close to a full wave here, and we are going to see the caps come back. The caps on the camps come back, and the rotation up top is incoming from Salty Cat. As Cooks is getting really low here, nice little taunt coming in there, and Malfurion just gets by.
Yeah, the tongue drag was almost enough. And actually, Cloud is going to haunting wave in to try and secure that kill, but Russian's still able to back out just in time. The poison damage, though, going to proc the retreat back, and Misha goes down. Rob Dog, not a whole lot he can do without his bear compatriot. And they're going to start to work on this top wave. As soon as they get an advantage, they are not afraid to push Plague. They don't care too much about these waves early game. They are looking for structure damage, and they are getting it.
There it is. That's exactly what this Jaina Sylvanas comp does. You have major potential push power here. The only problem with it is that both of them are pretty weak, being with their health pools. So you got to be careful about how overextended you are. But if you can get yourself in a nice tight group, nice with Rexar and Gul'dan going down here, and we, you know, potentially you can clear all days, even though you might lose the objective.
Yeah, Cloud getting pretty low here. Life with Savvy is collapsing on trying to get him down, but the Haunting Wave gonna get him out of here in this situation. Ariel also backing up. Malfurion actually ends up going down to Artanis in the back of all this, but here come the Zerg coming through the top lane, and Jaina is gonna get eliminated, but gonna exchange Tychus. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, just the little bit of Zerg that's coming out, it's going to be cleaned up by Crooks pretty easily, and the push continues here from the side of Salty Cat as they start to push towards this keep front wall.
They are here. Top lane is getting a lot of pressure here. We might see that wall come down here with 2 Alkalists and a little flying whatever thingamabobs you call them. I don't even know.
Yeah, I don't know what you call those either. Something.
Bitters, I guess. I don't know.
The Brood Lords or something. I don't know. Something. But Savannah's doing a nice job of going ahead and getting those towers shut down so the Zerg can get some work done. But ultimately, they will have to retreat here as the full-on push. And the Horrify going to completely isolate Cloud. He's going down. Ariel is going to have a rough time getting out of this situation as Tychus with that Odin continues the march on. The stun coming down also. They're going to go ahead and burn the Blessed Shield to be able to get that kill. But you know what? I'll trade a 60-second cooldown for a kill at this stage in the game.
And they are going to be able to get this wall, maybe even a little bit more, especially that well coming down. So even though the Ultimus wave went in favor of Salty Cat, BJandCo now being able to apply a little bit of pressure.
The swap on Russian, and does manage to get the Twilight Dream out before the world ends. However, it's not going to do a whole lot. And now the retreat going the other direction, and only getting Misha with that ring. However, Rob Dog had to step out of that, along with Gul'dan. They both had to step back into the team to be able to properly dodge that ring. So P-Flame throwing it out here, and the machine gun build continuing as the slows are on, even without Unstoppable. Life with Savvy not going to be able to get out of this situation. And all of a sudden, the push is back on in this bottom lane, Plague. I could have sworn this was over already.
I did. It was top lane with a major wave coming through with a monstrous amount of push. And then BJandCo was able to get a couple kills, and they were able to get their own push of their own with the momentum change. And now the momentum again is now back with the Salty Cat.
Now here comes the Horrifiers. They're trying to yet again swing that momentum in their favor as BJandCo. They are pushing them back here. Artanis has to be careful. Misses the swap to try and get himself away from Tychus. But they are going to go ahead and just back up and let Artanis be. And an interesting rotation here by Crooks. This could get him in trouble. He'll get hit by the root. He does burrow, but ultimately too much damage, too much collapse, and that's not the path you want to try and take home. I don't think.
An early boss attempt here. Look at this.
And you gotta be careful. This boss will chew you up, and Life with Savvy is finding that out now in a hard way here. But I still don't know if Salty Cat has enough to really be able to contest this at the end of the day. They do have their members starting to come back. Dahaka is still down as this boss does go down. They're going to contest it. And the ring coming out, and they're actually proccing the retreat from BJandCo. They steal this full on, no problem, Plague. BJandCo got completely chewed up by that boss.
I don't know if they call that a big steal, man. It was just a treat. And they shouldn't have taken it because they're not high enough. Even though, yeah, you had enough time, you probably could have contested that. But like you said, this boss is probably one of the hardest hitting bosses in the entire game. And it just completely chewed them up to the point where they couldn't defend it. Any kind of sort of contestment.
Yeah, it's absolutely the hardest hitting boss, and the damage is fairly unavoidable. That's the big thing, is with most bosses, you can predict how it's going to hit, and you can minimize the damage and get it onto the right target, but this boss has a much higher level of difficulty for that.
This could be a major game changer. I'm not going to call it and say this is definitely, it could be the G's on it, but this is a major, major swing of momentum. And honestly, it's a pretty big error, I think, in BJandCo in decision making and trying to go after this.
Yeah, definitely a misplay over on the side of BJ and Company. Salty Cat taking full advantage of it. They're also going to have the Zerg wave pushing in this bottom lane, and the boss has now reached the core, is going to start slowly chipping away at the shields. All 5 members still here, but they're still down to 13 talent here, with 15 already picked up for Salty Cat. The drag out on Rob Dog. Rexar goes down. The cleanse is going to come out onto Gul'dan in time to get him out of there. Nice cleanse from Russian, but it might be too little too late as the wave goes in. Tychus.
I don't think they have enough damage to do this.
Yeah, that was a nice cleanse, but that's not going to be enough to save the game. The Zerg wave is here. The core is going down, and Salty Cat makes one big decision in the middle of that game, and that's what happens when you give Sylvanas an opportunity here on Brax's Holdout. You end up with a 12-minute gameplay.
That's right. Just that one little misplay of taking the boss attempt a little bit too early like that. When you honestly, I'm going to have to call him out on this. You should have known what this boss would have done, what exactly that boss did in chewing up their team like that. And ultimately having to retreat, otherwise taking pretty much a 5-man wipe and practically giving that boss to Salty Cat, which arguably, not arguably, it did give Salty Cat the win.
Yeah, that was really the nail in the coffin. They did have an advantage, and I understand wanting to do something with that advantage, right? You know, you get a couple of picks, you get that pick out onto Haka from that kind of awkward rotation. You want to do something with it, but structures, you know, other mercenary camps, enemy mercenary camps, things that you can control and take safely. But the boss was just the wrong call there. That's throw pit,
and the issue,
especially against this boss.
It's a very, very high risk, high reward situation, because if you are getting a boss that early, it is very difficult to get it down because you just don't have the damage like you usually would have in later levels, and it was very difficult to get that boss down in any kind of fast manner, and it just ultimately got onto the core and you got that first initial hit, allowing that Zerg wave to come in and just come in there and finish the rest off that core.
Yeah, and ultimately you also look at the risk. You talk about risk and reward, and I totally agree with that, because what's the reward there? By the time you've taken the boss down, he's taken your health down so much, you've probably lost. Maybe you've lost a player or two because the enemy team came and contested. You can't really push with it, so the enemy team just cleans it up as it goes into the fort. You know, it's. But yeah, you know, still you gotta admire the guts and the gusto from BJandCo. They definitely had a strategy here. They did do a nice job early with the rotations, so a lot to like about their play style. Definitely, you know, don't want to just judge them on one decision, because they did put up a good show.
That's the nature of this. That is the name. That's the name of this game. Your one decision, and honestly, practically any part of a match could cost you dearly, and we saw it here. It was pretty much mid-game, maybe early mid-game, I guess, whatever you want to call it, and just that one bad decision of going after that boss and staying with that boss, not retreating earlier to let it reset, cost them the match.
Yeah, I totally agree. It was also a very heads-up play there. Got to give the MVP to P-Flame. Some of those rings were just magnificent. I haven't seen a good Jaina play in a little while, you know.
I agree.
But P-Flame definitely bringing out the Jaina in a big way and making it work here on Brax's Holdout. And that was a good invade. You know, I questioned whether or not they could do it with Artanis still slowly rotating back into Haka down, but they did. They were not afraid to go in and push them off of that boss to really secure that play. And even before that, you know, they were making really nice plays in that top lane, being able to turn that around after maybe staying a little bit too long with their Zerg wave. So they made a lot of great plays to put themselves in that position. But yeah, ultimately the chat's been squawking about Sylvanas, and yeah, it's that was a Sylvanas game. That's what happens when you give Sylvanas just that little window. She just blows the door wide open.
Right. and that's what her kit is all about. Very, very aggressive kit, allowing waves to be cleared very, very quickly, and then just being able to shut down any kind of map that has some kind of pushing mechanic or pushing NPC, like Braxic holdout with the wave, or with the boss, or anything like that. Sylvanas can be devastating on, like we saw here.
All right, guys. Well, thank you very much for joining us for these 3 matches. Definitely a pleasure to be able to bring these to you guys, and just in general, a lot of fun tonight, Blake. Thank you very much for joining me too, man.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. It's great to be back doing this. I really do love casting. I got to get freshened up a little bit. It's been a couple of seasons since I've been doing it, but I'll get there in time. Yeah,
it's all about just getting in there, having fun, and doing it. And I'll tell you that there's a few things that I have as much fun doing as casting these matches for you guys. So you're always welcome to throw in a request. I'm not always available with my busy schedule with work and World of Warcraft and Divine 9 practice.
Gotta have that. World of Warcraft.
Hey, I've been raiding with that guild for 9 years, man. I'm not giving it up now.
Obsessed much.
Hey, HGC Open Division is scheduled every other week, like every other week on Monday nights, and I'm like, well, I can't do that. I have to raid. No! I'm not a fan of having to choose between those things, but darn it, HGC Open Division, you only host tournaments on Mondays. What is up with that?
I know.
You think
why are you conforming to Jay's schedule?
I know, right? That's okay. The HGC Open Division, those guys practice like 80 hours a week. That's too hardcore for my taste anyway. But yeah, like I said, thank you very much for joining me, guys, for this late night cap. Thank you to all the teams that played and came out. Again, big congratulations to BJandCo for winning this one. We're going to go ahead and credit you with that win so we can move on with our lives and move on to week 2. Couple things to look out for the rest of this week on the stream. We got Divine 9 practice coming at you tomorrow night, 6 to 9 p.m. or so, depending on how late Ice Fox wants to stay up and before he goes to work. Friday night, we've got the same practice time, but we've also got our match coming up in Chair League against Lit Esports, which is going to be casted by Gravesville. So I'll be hosting him. You guys can check it out on this channel, or you can just go straight over to Gravesville. And yeah, we'll move on into the weekend with the normal streaming schedule, the practices, the games, and all that good stuff. And we'll be back next week for more Chair League casting as well. And hopefully, Plague, you'll be joining me for all of that too.
Yep. Plan to do that.
Sweet. All right, guys. Thanks again for joining us. Congratulations to all those J Dollar winners out there that decided to throw out.
It rain up in here.
Yeah, I'm gonna get the betting thing down, Pat, so you guys can do that. I've been doing that with. I've been testing it out a little bit with my own games, and it's definitely a lot of fun. Something I want to continue doing. It adds a little spice into it, which is fun. So yeah, like I said, you guys can follow here on. If you want to keep up to date with the stream, you can follow here on Twitch. I've also been giving a little bit more love to my YouTube channel and all that stuff if you guys want to check out any of the Chair League matches. And the highlight reel. That's something I forgot to mention. This weekend, I'm going to be finalizing our first ever Chair League highlight reel for regular season highlights. So you guys can check that out on my YouTube page. Got the Facebook, Twitter, that whole thing. Blah, 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 blah.
Are you done?
I think I'm done now.
Oh, okay. I was just making sure.
All right.
Anything else fast there?
Do you have anything?
No, I'm good, man. I'm good. I made up all my air. All right.
Yeah, I know. I took up all your airtime. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it is. All right, guys. Have a great night. Thanks again, Jay, for everything that you do. Thanks again to the chat for whatever they do. And thanks again to the great teams that we saw.
Whatever you guys do, thanks for it.
Whatever the hell you do. And we'll catch you guys next time.
Have a good night, guys.
All right, bye.